Introducing eAcademy Primary, an exciting new reading and literacy program for primary levels. The eAcademy Primary program consists of two key components: the eAcademy teaching software designed for classroom use, and the eAcademy app for students. The teaching software contains interactive multimedia lessons and activities designed for teachers to use in classrooms. These resources include starter readers and phonics, primary stories, songs, vocabulary, speaking and conversation, and grammar. Accompanying the teaching software is the companion eAcademy app. With this app, students have free access to more than 120 storybooks with progressive reading levels. With this program, you can now make reading accessible to every child. Implement a school-wide reading program. Incorporate technology in class. Develop independent reading for every child. So what are you waiting for? Download now and enjoy a free 90-day trial. Introducing eAcademy, powered by Town for Kids, a new kind of blended learning program specially designed for preschools and kindergartens. The eAcademy Kindergarten program consists of three key components: the eAcademy teaching software, with accompanied worksheets for download, and the eAcademy app for students. It covers all key areas of a holistic kindergarten curriculum, including thematic learning, alphabet and phonics, STEAM and numeracy, music and movement, health, safety, and hygiene, social, emotional, and character development. Teachers simply pick and choose what they want to teach and run the set of activities in the program. Here is how it looks like in the classroom. So what are you waiting for? Download now and enjoy a free 90-day trial. Introducing eAcademy Primary, an exciting new reading and literacy program for primary levels. The eAcademy Primary program consists of two key components: the eAcademy teaching software designed for classroom use, and the eAcademy app for students. The teaching software contains interactive multimedia lessons and activities designed for teachers to use in classrooms. These resources include starter readers and phonics, primary stories, songs, vocabulary, speaking and conversation, and grammar. Accompanying the teaching software is the companion eAcademy app. With this app, students have free access to more than 120 storybooks with progressive reading levels. With this program, you can now make reading accessible to every child. Implement a school-wide reading program. Incorporate technology in class. Develop independent reading for every child. So what are you waiting for? Download now and enjoy a free 90-day trial. Introducing E-Academy, powered by Town for Kids, a new kind of blended learning program specially designed for preschools and kindergartens. The E-Academy Kindergarten program consists of 3 key components. The E-Academy teaching software, with accompanied worksheets for download, and the E-Academy app for students. It covers all key areas of a holistic kindergarten curriculum, including thematic learning, alphabet and phonics, STEAM and numeracy, music and movement, health, safety, and hygiene, social, emotional, and character development. Teachers simply pick and choose what they want to teach and run the set of activities in the program. Here is how it looks like in the classroom. So what are you waiting for? Download now and enjoy a free 90-day trial.
All right. Good afternoon, teachers. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So, while we haven't started yet, we would like to request everybody to type in where you are from, your name, and of course, the school that you belong to, so that we'll be able to see it later and greet you later on. So, we're going to start our workshop first with our introduction. Thank you so much for those who are replying right now. Sorry about that. All right. So, good afternoon and welcome to our workshop entitled Nurturing the Whole Child Through Play Based Learning. We'll be doing some introduction before we start our workshop. So, everybody get ready now because this is going to be a very short introduction. So what we're going to have now, we're having the introduction, then later on we proceed with the workshop, and then we're going to have a question and answer, and it will be followed by a survey. We want to hear your feedback about the workshop, and please don't forget to stay here in the workshop because we're going to be sending a certificate of attendance where everybody who participated in this workshop needs to fill up so that we'll be able to send to you your e-certificate to the email address that you're going to provide. Now we have some house rule here. We would like you to follow. All right. So first, of course, everybody's muted. You can chat into the chat box if you have any questions. Now, for activities that our facilitator, Sir Alan, is going to conduct, kindly type in your answers to the chat box. All right. And of course, we would like everybody to be respectful. All right, so stay engaged. We'll have a lot of activities happening in our workshop. We have a slido.com wherein we'll be inviting everybody to get your phones ready. You can scan the QR code or go to the website and log in the number ID so you can participate on the workshop. All right, and also have fun and stay positive. Now, let me introduce to you our facilitator this afternoon. His name is Alan Davis. He's a curriculum and consultant trainer for Town for Kids. He's been in the education industry for more than 25 years. He has conducted teachers training program in UAE and Thailand for the government. He conducted a training session for around 800 teachers in Thailand earlier this year, worked in USA, Australia, China, Taiwan, Singapore, and all throughout Southeast Asia. In February 2025, he conducted and facilitated a workshop for the whole child education, integrating holistic learning in the digital era in collaboration with ECA in India. March 2025, commencing the teachers training for the Department of Education in the Philippines, And July 25, he was a speaker for the online workshop, Language and Communication Through Play, Building Early Literacy Skills in Collaboration with ECA Upper in India. Now, without further ado, I'm going to turn over now to Alan so we can start with our workshop. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. For me, it's early morning. I'm here in Portugal today. Very happy to see all of you here. I know it's not the easiest thing to come to a Saturday afternoon training after working all week. So it's great to see so many of you here this afternoon. So as she said, my name's Alan. I'm from the United States originally, but I have worked in Asia for about 25 years, until last year actually. And I've worked most of my time I spent in Southeast Asia. So I have been to every country that I've seen represented here so far, except for Pakistan. I have not traveled to Pakistan yet. Today, we will be talking about nurturing the whole child through play-based learning. I think it should be an interesting session. I welcome all of you to participate, to answer questions in the chat room. We have a few Slido questions as well. I will have a Q&A at the end, so if you have a question that you'd really like to ask, please feel free to ask me at that point. If it's very relevant, I can try to answer it during the training, but usually I will wait until the end. Let's go ahead and get started here. So let's go ahead and start by using a Slido. So I'm going to let you guys use your phone, and you can either copy the QR code or you can enter slido.com and enter this number. And I just want you to tell me one word that comes to your mind when you think of play. What word do you think of when you think of play? And I'll just give you a few seconds to do that. Okay, very good. Ah, okay, very interesting. I think you guys are familiar with this kind of program. Good. I see fun is the fun, enjoyable, engaging, learning. Oh, I'm happy to see learning is getting lots of play here. Okay, interactive, good. Creativity. Ooh, okay. That's interesting. Rallo and Roblox. Fun and exciting, happy, engaging. Okay, great. This is it's good that we're getting such a response so quickly. Curious, yes, exciting. Freedom, ooh, interesting. Okay, this is great. I'm glad to see some of my keywords are here in the very beginning, which is fun, engaging, interactive, creativity, and enjoyable. And of course, we want the kids to be happy as well. I see some of you typed your name. I guess that's good. Okay, perfect, perfect. So we're going to look at four pictures here. I want you to tell me which of these represents play the best and which one represents learning for you. Which one is play? Which one is learning? It's a little bit of a trick question, by the way. Okay. I have lots of number ones. I'm thinking number one must be what you think of when you think of the one that represents play. Oh, somebody got my answer there. Christine Guerrano, very good. They're all they're all play. They're all play and they're all learning. So some of them are some of them are more of one than the other, right? Uh, Number one, definitely playing with blocks. And we're going to talk all about playing with blocks in just a second. Number two, they're just writing, they're drawing a picture or something, but they're having a good time, right? So one of the definitions of play is that we are enjoying it. We're having a good time. Three, a structured game. And four, it looks like they're involved with something on the computer. And the little boy looks particularly happy, right? So the big idea here is that play is learning. And especially for young learners, play tends to be, we're learning when we play. In fact, one of the quotes we'll see later is that play is the child's work. That comes from Montessori, Maria Montessori. That when we are playing, this is how we actually develop our personhood as well as our intellectual capability. So here's what we're going to look at today. Here's our guidelines for today. First, we're going to talk about understanding what is meant by holistic development or teaching the whole child. I saw through the introductions that some of you are working in whole child development. So that will be very interesting to hear your feedback. We're going to talk about the value of play in learning and the value of play, particularly in this whole child area. We'll look at the two kinds of play, guided and free, look at some practical applications, and then some digital play, some digital suggestions for play. Or sorry, some suggestions for playing in a digital space. Lastly, if we have time, we'll talk about how to talk to parents and administration about play, because they don't always understand why your kids are playing or why their kids are playing. Okay, so holistic education or whole child development means looking at the child as more than just someone who can fill out worksheets. It's taking into account 5 processes, at least 5. Some people will group a couple of these together. Some people might split a couple of these apart. But I'm going to look at it in 5 components. Firstly is the creative aspect. So creativity is all about problem solving, experimenting, or innovating. Creativity is one of the most important skills in the 21st century. We can evidence this by looking at a fairly recent poll in 2014 of 10,000 CEOs who said that the number one skill for their employees was creativity. So children are already very creative. So it's more about maintaining creativity than teaching creativity to young learners. Next, physical. Learning about health and wellness. Learning how to use your body to do big motions, small motions, any kind of motion, as well as learning about proper nutrition, how exercise benefits our body and our brain. Making sure students that have the opportunity for movement, because movement also helps our brain to work. Which leads us to the brain, the cognitive aspect. This is what we primarily focus on as teachers, or a lot of the time we focus on this, right? Just trying to get students to think or trying to get students to memorize and repeat. So cognition, though, is not just about memorizing, but it's actually trying to use the brain to do some higher level thinking skills. And sometimes this is what we miss out in our curriculums because we're so tied to some strict schedule, right? So using higher level thinking skills is an important part of teaching the whole child. So by higher order thinking skills, I mean things like creating, evaluating sources, making sure that what we're looking at is actually valid to what we want to do and being able to carry out activities. So the next two, social and emotional, are also often linked together. I'm breaking them apart here, but you'll often see them linked together in SEL, or social emotional learning. So social aspect here is the idea that we are a part of a community, not just individuals that can do whatever we want. So when we're teaching this this particular area. We help students to develop empathy and community awareness, to understand that our actions have impact in our close circle as well as the community at large. And lastly, but not least, is the emotional component, or understanding ourselves, understanding how to regulate our emotions, to make sure we are thinking through how we react instead of just reacting instinctively. So since we're talking about play, I want to look at how just a simple activity that students do on a regular basis ties in with this idea. So we see here a group of 4 students playing with blocks, something that students love to do, right? They love to do it when they love to do it by themselves. They like to do it with their classmates or their friends. We can use it as a teaching tool in the class or just for free play. So in what way is playing with blocks a creative activity? In this activity, students are experimenting with shapes and colors. So does this block work? Does the really big block stand on the small block, or does it fall over? What happens if I stack things in this particular way? Where they also look at the aesthetics of blocks. So can I have a whole green row and then a yellow row and then a red row, or do I want to mix it up? So it's about experimenting to see what works for them. The physical activity is not so much of the big movement. They're not running and jumping and moving around like that, but they are using their hands. So they're working on their fine motor skills. They may also be reaching for blocks and things like that, but in general, it's a fine motor skills. They're using their brain to plan their structure, to plan, are they going to make a castle or a wall or a house or some unusual structure that we haven't ever seen before, relying on their creativity. Once they're working on it, they have to evaluate their progress. Is it working? Is it going to fall down? Is it going to stand up? How can I strengthen it to make it better? So when they're doing this as a group, they have to learn how to take turns. They have to learn how to pay attention to what others are doing and not to react too strongly if, in fact, the student doesn't want to do the exact, their friend doesn't want to do the exact thing, right? So even though they want to have a solid green row, their friend wants to have green and yellow. Is this okay? How do I deal with it? How do I negotiate through this process? As well, once they have completed the assignment, once they have completed their play, the sense of worth that they get from having accomplished something ties into their emotional spheres. I have someone saying that they cannot hear me. Is this a problem for anyone else? Okay. Okay, everyone can hear me. Okay, I think it's on your side. Sorry, whoever that is. All right, very good. So let's talk about then what we mean when we say play. And we're going to come at this from a semi-academic stance. So play is an intrinsically motivated activity that is enjoyable, interesting, and meaningful. Now we have some key terms here that are very important. The first is intrinsically motivated. So intrinsic is something that comes from within. Extrinsic is something that comes from without, right? Or outside. So intrinsically motivated means the student wants to do it. Why does the student want to do it? Because it's enjoyable, it's interesting, and meaningful. If anyone has ever been in a training with me before, they know that this word meaningful is very important to me. Too often, our activities in class are not meaningful. So the motivation, we don't develop a motivation for the student because it means nothing to them, right? To fill out a worksheet or to, repeat something back and forth, may not actually mean much to them. So we want to have things that connect to their life, that connect to things that are enjoyable and interesting. So play comes from within. Their joy in play, the fun, as one of the key words was, comes from within. So play is the way that children explore the world. It's how they experiment, how they imitate behavior. So they act like they are in the doctor's office, or they are in the kitchen, or they have their own children, right? They're imitating the behavior of adults, extending themselves beyond what they actually are. It's a way for them to problem solve. So how to build a castle when you don't have a steeple, right? How can I make some kind of turret if I don't have a steeple? And of course, it's a way for children to learn how to interact with others. So when we look at play from a historical sense, the idea of play in education originates around the early 20th century with somebody called Vygotsky. He was a Russian philosopher who stated that in play, a child is moving beyond their age, moving beyond what they do in a daily routine or behavior. He said it is as though he were a head taller than himself. So in play, the child is striving to move upwards, right? The child is trying to learn, trying to develop, trying to get to another higher sphere. He developed this idea of the zone of proximal development. With the zone of proximal development, we say a student is here. This is what they can do by themselves. They can do other things if they are guided. For example, a 3-year-old can roll a ball into a basket, right? They can do that, no problem. If they are helped, they may be able to throw a small ball into a basket. That's what they can do with the guidance of an adult, with us training them or helping them. What they cannot do is pick up a basketball and throw it into the hoop, right? So that's out of their ability range. So this zone of things they can do if they're being helped is called the zone of proximal development. With this in mind, he came up with the idea of scaffolding, which is a term we use on a regular basis now. Actually, how we help students to get from one place to another. Play is one of these areas that we use as scaffolding. It's within play, students develop their language and their thinking skills. A few other important people in the support play and education are Piaget, who was around the same time as Vygotsky, had kind of a different approach, but one thing they did agree on is that play is the answer to how anything new comes about. I'm sure some of you have heard of Maria Montessori. She developed a philosophy of education that was based entirely on play. She said that playtime is never wasted. It's not a waste of time. So long as the children are busily absorbed, they are working at their own development. And with a more recent entry is Eric Jensen, who's very interesting educational advocate who does all his work in brain-based education. I highly recommend looking into his material if you're interested in that sort of thing. Jensen says that learning is more effective when it is active, hands-on, and engaging the whole learner. The play is not mentioned here exactly, but it is the same idea. So let's look at some pictures. We have two pictures here. We have A and B. What's the difference in the activity that's happening here? What's the difference between picture A and picture B? You may notice a few things. Okay, good. Fatima, you're very fast. Oh, okay, good, Kimberly. Independent and guided learning. Guided and free play. Good, yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. We have A is a guided play, right? We see the teacher sitting there, we see the game, and it looks to be a literacy-based bingo game. Whereas in B, we see two young children playing with Play-Doh. It seems nobody is there telling them what to do. Yes, very good. Lots of good answers here. So let's talk then about these are the two primary differences of play. Of course, we can break down play into lots of other specifics, but in general, these are our two kinds of play we care about as an educator. So the characteristics of guided play are that there is an adult or there is an older student at least leading or at least setting up the play. Guided play has objectives and purposes. So if we're playing bingo, we want to get X, 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 right? In diagonal or across. We have a purpose. And in order to reach these objectives, we need to have some kind of rules or boundaries. You cannot just randomly put down your X, right? You have to listen or look and find the appropriate box in which to put your X. These games or these kinds of play are usually repeatable. So with the bingo, I can use the same grid to recognize phonetic symbols, or I can do it to listen and check an X, or I can put in pictures and students have to listen to the word and put an X over the correct picture. So it's repeatable activity. So some of the kinds of play that we have here are board games. Now, board games are very good for primary age, not so great for kindergarten, right? Kindergarten, we tend to need to do things that are more, a little bit more free or open. So role playing is a good activity for both kindergarten or primary. Matching games are great for all levels as well as for adults. I like doing matching games even when I'm teaching adults. A matching game can be as simple as matching a color to a color, matching a word to a picture, matching a word to a word, matching a word to some object in the room, or matching an abstract picture to some kind of idea, right? So all kinds of matching activities depending on the age of the student. Movement games are particularly good for something like a 3 or 4-year-old, where just marching around the room is a nice activity for a 3-year-old. So marching around the room and pointing at different colors or things. And lastly, or not lastly, there's lots of examples. I'm just giving you a few broad examples, is the TPR games. So TPR games include Simon Says. So Simon Says is a very popular game for TPR, or total physical response. So within total physical response, like Simon Says, we're not covering all of the bases, right? We're not actually doing cognitive, and we may not be doing social, but we're focusing really on listening and doing the action. So brings me back to the idea that we don't always have to try to appeal to all 5 of these senses, as long as we are doing it on a regular basis within the classroom. Oh, I Spy game, somebody says. Yeah, that's a good one as well. So guided play and then free play. So free play is child-led or self-directed. It's what the children do when you say, okay, 5-minute break, and they run for the blocks. That's they're playing what they want to at that moment. It's open-ended. There are very flexible rules. If any of you have ever played a game with a 4-year-old, you know the rules are flexible because they're experimenting with rules, right? So they'll give you some rules, and then when they realize that's not helping them, they'll change the rules in the middle of the game, right? So the rules are very flexible. They're not rigid. The emphasis here is not on the outcome as much as it is just enjoying the process. So this one for children, easy to focus on the process. When we get older, we want to see some results, right? So some examples of child-led or free play are working in a drama corner, doing something in a drama corner, or just acting something out in a simulated environment. So there's lots of simulated environments you can buy. And if you're working in a high-end school, high-end kindergarten or primary school, you may actually have like a kitchen or a shop, a ready-made kitchen or shop, or a ready-made grocery store. Not really necessary to go out and purchase a simulated environment. You can just put up some pictures, put up some pictures of fish and fruit and vegetables, and the students can come and interact with these pictures. So if you don't have the money to create the simulated environment, don't worry, it's still useful activity to use, because the student can use their imagination as well to fill out this environment. Blocks, of course, are a very important simulated activity. Going outdoors is always very nice. There's lots for students to do outdoors, and flashcards. So flashcards can also be a guided activity, right? If I'm giving flashcards and telling students exactly what to do with them, that's guided. If I make the flashcards available, then how they use them is up to them. That's a free we tend to do a lot of guided free play. So sort of a combination of these two things, right? So we provide the tools or the toys, we give them the simulated environment. We say, okay, now we're going to color. Color what you want. It's a guided free play. So now I have a question. Do we need to do both? When we're in our classrooms or we're doing something with our students, do I need to have both guided and free play? Are they both important? And of course, the answer is yes. Both are very important. I see you guys jumping in and answering. I appreciate that. So with the guided activity, we are targeting specific skills. And as teachers, that's what we are meant to do, right? We want our students to be ready to enter the next grade. If we're just doing free play, it may not meet all of these specific skills that the students are actually going to need in their next grade. So we do need some guided play. But free play fosters this idea of creativity, using language in an authentic way. So this is also important for the student's development. In addition, different students respond differently to different activities. For example, some students need more of a structured environment. They appreciate the teacher telling them exactly what they should be doing, exactly how they should be doing it, and it gives them more security, right, to have those dictates. Whereas other students feel more comfortable with just doing free play, being more creative, interacting with their classmates in a more natural way. And we want to have an inclusive environment. We want students to learn in the way that's most suitable for them. So using both of these kinds of play is very beneficial for them. I won't go too much into detail here, but there are some developmental stages of playing. If you're already working with students, you know, right, that a 3-year-old is not going to be able to sit down and do a crossword puzzle. It's just not going to happen, right? So a 3-year-old goes through the stage of parallel play, where they may be playing alone. They may all be sitting around playing with blocks, but they're not actually playing together. They don't have the same goal. They're just working through the block activity. And as students get older, they start to develop these more structured play. Even in free play, they start structuring it themselves, right? So we're going to play house. I'm going to be the mommy, you're going to be the daddy, and these are going to be our children. We start developing these pretend scenarios. Later, getting up into 6, 7 years old, we can actually start doing things like competition, where we have some rules, we develop our own goals, and we apply these in meaningful ways to reach some kind of solution. Okay. So language develops during play. It's true of our native language. It's true when we're learning a second or a third language, as some of your students may be doing. So what are we learning when we are playing? We're learning new vocabulary. We learn a lot from our friends. We learn as much from our friends as we do from our teacher, right? Because one student will pick up a few words, another student will pick up another few words, and then when we're playing, we are experiencing both of these words. So vocabulary, sentence structure through our simulated environment and play, we get a lot of we develop the way we talk. We develop the way we tell stories in our narrative skills. And of course, we learn about turn taking and waiting to give our response and thinking of the ways to appropriately respond. So we develop our conversation skills. Let's do an activity. I have 2 questions. Number 1, is it guided or free? And what do you think they're learning? Is this a guided activity, G, or free, or is this free play? And what are they learning? Okay, I see lots of free play. Good. Free. Okay, wow, good. Well, I see you both. Okay. Yeah, this is primarily, I would consider this a free play activity, right? Maybe I've set up the simulation, I've set up the environment, but what they do in the environment is up to them. But I could also use this as a model for an activity, for a role-playing activity in which I am supplying the words I want them to use, the structure that I want them to use. So for those of you that said both, you also are definitely correct. We could use this for both, for free, for guided. In fact, we could even do a guided activity using this, and then in free time, the students will come back and try it themselves without the pressure of the teacher watching, right? Or just because they enjoyed it so much. So what are they learning? Oh, here we go. They're learning to identify fruits and vegetables, count, identify colors. Okay. They are identifying, counting. Very good. Same thing I came up with. They're doing numbers. So they're counting, they're looking, they're sorting, they're thinking about how much something costs, they're identifying fruits and vegetables, and they're doing some kind of negotiation. By negotiation, I don't mean I'll give you $4 instead of $5. I mean that they're negotiating who is speaking when. So they have to negotiate the turn taking. When is it my turn to speak? When is it your turn to speak? Which is a very important skill that some people honestly don't learn, even in adulthood. Okay, one more. Is it guided or free? And what is she learning? You see a little girl reading to her teddy bear. Interesting. That's very interesting because I get most of you saying guided, whereas I would say this one is more free. This is what a child will naturally do, right? Especially a child whose parents reads to them. This is what they do when they're just sitting around and they have their doll. They imitate the behavior of the adult and read to their doll. She may not even be reading. She may just be, she remembers the story and she's kind of pretending that she's reading to the doll. By the way, if you are a parent, please read to your children. It's very beneficial in more ways than I can go into. So I would say this is a free, though it could also be a guided activity. So in the classroom, I could say, read to your partner, and if the student doesn't feel comfortable doing it, read to your doll. So this could be both a guided or a free, but I would find it to be more of a free activity. So what is she learning? She is learning about the concept of a story. So she's had somebody read a story to her before. Now she's going through the motions of the story. She's starting to realize by pointing at these symbols, she's starting to realize that this symbol actually means something. She may not yet know exactly what each of these symbols or words mean, but she's realizing that this actually has some kind of significance. Okay, very good. And lastly, of course, hopefully she's learning about the joy of reading. So how fun it is to actually read a book. Many of our students are not learning this anymore, right? Because they're just using the device all the time. Okay, let's do another activity. I want to know, how much play do you integrate into your own English lessons? Rarely or never, once in a while, a lot or often, or every day? By the way, there is no wrong answer, okay? I would guess that with kindergarten teachers, there's probably more opportunity than with primary teachers. So you may have I would guess that the primary teachers would be less frequent than the kindergarten teachers. Okay. Wow, okay. A lot of you are doing it every day. That's good. A lot or often, once in a while, rarely or never. Can be difficult in some environments to actually try to incorporate play. So hopefully we will talk about this in a few minutes and talk about maybe how we can do that. Okay, I wish there were a way to break down like which answer is coming from the primary and which is coming from kindergarten, because I have a feeling it will be different. Okay, it's good to see that a lot of you are using play in your English lessons or in your whatever lessons you're teaching. So let's do another one then. Let's look at, okay, yeah, almost 50% of you are doing it every day. So altogether, it's almost 80% of you are doing it at least quite a bit. Let's do another one. What kind of play do you use the most? Free play, guided play, or a combination of both? Wow. Okay. A combination of both is the most popular answer, which is what I would expect to see actually. In primary, the teacher is generally not responsible for free play times, though I would encourage even trying to incorporate a little bit of free time into primary section, even just having 3 or 4 minutes when you give students time to process the information through free play. Okay, so it seems the majority of you are saying a combination of both. Yeah, very good. So let's talk about some of the strategies for incorporating play in an ELT classroom. Of course, we already talked about dramatic play and role play. Pretending we're at a restaurant, pretending we're at a doctor's office. A few ways to do that, and we'll talk about that in a second. Playing language games, such as board games or matching games. Well, I have so many comments here today. I'm going to do a real quick scan. Okay, good. Doing board games or matching games. Again, board games don't really work for a 3-year-old. I would not even try it unless you're doing it together as a whole group activity. Matching games, on the other hand, will work for a variety of ages, everything from 4 years, 3-4 years old, up to 50 years old. Okay. Creative expression using art, music, and movement in the classroom. These may not seem like play to you, but remember the idea of play is something that is intrinsically motivated, that that moves us because it's meaningful or interesting or enjoyable. Lastly, sensory play. So smells, tastes, feelings. And you can see here, she's reaching into the mystery bag and she's feeling it to see what it feels like. Can I guess what it is? Or maybe smelling it to see what it smells like. And then feelings. You may also play some games where you're working on feelings of the students. So let's talk a little bit about role playing. Role playing is one of my all-time favorite activities and occurs naturally in students' lives, but we can also try to encourage it by giving students the kind of sentence patterns that we want them to use or the vocabulary we want them to use. What I really like about role playing is that it is very versatile. So I can teach vocabulary, I can teach sentence pattern, I can teach appropriate responses in a certain type of situation. I can make a meaningful connection between real life and the classroom through role plays. So I really love role plays, and I do it in all my classes, right? Of course, it's a simulation of real life, which is important, and it's of course meaningful, the key term. So let's do a very simple role-playing activity here. So this is going to be a guided activity. So I'm going to just do a very simple dialogue here. And I like doing a dialogue in Q&A form, question and answer form, because it does give students that, they need to respond when they hear a question, right? So here we have the very simple dialogue. Hurry up, Billy. I can't find my school uniform, Dad. Can you help me? Here it is. Very simple dialogue. And I'm just going to focus on these two lines here. So I can actually listen to this dialogue in the Town for Kids digital program that I'll show you in a minute. Then I can do some practice. So I'm going to be the teacher. I'm going to be looking for something in the room. So teacher says, I can't find my scissors. Can you help me? The student can find the scissors, which are obviously right on the desk or something, and say, here they are. I can do this with lots of different activities. I can't find my pen. I can't find my marker. I can't find my bag. I can't find my gloves. Whatever you want to use, we can do. And then the student, here they are. Here it is. Here they are. Here it is. So just a way to reinforce this kind of activity. Now, I can also do the same thing with when they're doing a free play activity. I can say, we're just going to color today, or we're going to make a book together today. But they need to actually ask for different colors and things. So I don't have a red crayon. Do you have a red crayon? Oh, here it is. Okay. So I'm going to follow up this role play by doing it as a guided activity where the students are asking for help finding something. So I can start off with one student asking another student, and we're all watching, right? So we're all paying attention. And then I can just do it as more of a free activity. So students can all be moving around and asking for help to find something. An activity like this is probably for a 5, 6, 5-year-old up into, lower primary, because it's a very simple, basic activity. Okay, are songs a form of play? So I want you to think about what we said that play is, and I want you to tell me, are songs a form of play? I won't spend too long here waiting for an answer. I think you know the answer I want. Yes, you all know the answer I want, which is, of course, songs are a form of play. A song is playful if it is interesting, enjoyable, meaningful, right? If it is intrinsically motivating. Now, for me, I love to sing. So anytime the teacher says time to sing, I'm very, very happy. So a song includes movement, imagination, and interaction, which makes it also a form of play. And we can also include choices. So the benefit of using music is that it helps us to improve our memory. It increases our vocabulary. The part where we plan our movements and the brain is all lit up when we actually are listening to music or singing music or even dancing to music. So it encourages us to be creative and expressive, and it connects this physical activity to social activity if we're all singing together, and helps us as well to develop a sense of rhythm in our language. So I'm going to do a little activity here. And this activity is going to have a before, a during, and an after. So I approach a song the same way I approach a reading or a listening activity. I have an activity before to get ready. I have my activities or during the song, and I also have something to do to follow up on the song. So it's not occurring in a vacuum, right? It's occurring in relation to other things. So I'm going to do a song about shapes. I don't know if you can see very good because of the background. Oh, you can. Okay. So this is a circle. What is it, everybody? It's a circle. Very good. It's a circle. So when you look around your room, do you see any circles? Ah, I can see a circle. My coffee cup is a circle. Do I see any other circles? My fan is a circle. My light is a circle. So I can say circles are everywhere. Can you say that, everybody? Circles are everywhere. Oh, very good. Okay. So, of course, I'm going through this activity very quickly with you. I would probably take a little bit longer with my students. What is it? Same thing. It's a square. What is it? It's a square. Okay, very good. Do you see any squares? Oh, when I look on the floor, the tile is a square. Is this a square? Oh, not quite a square. Okay, so I'm looking for squares, getting my students to find the squares. I may even give the student a card and ask them to walk around the room and find the squares. So I'm going to do it with 4 different shapes. Square, circle, diamond. Well, it's harder to find a diamond, isn't it? And then an oval. My oval is my mouse, So we can find these shapes everywhere. So shapes are everywhere. So now we're going to go and we're going to listen to a song. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull this up. We're going to listen to this song about 5 times. So the first time we're just going to listen, okay? Just listen. Can you hear? Angelique, can hear?
Yes, I can hear the sound.
Diamond squares, there are many shapes out there. Everywhere you look, you'll see. Let's go find some shapes now.
Okay, very good. So we listen, just listen 1 time. So the student's head will start to bop because they're enjoying the song, right? So next time I'm going to actually give students one of these cards. So I'm going to give a student a square or diamond or circle. They're going to have to listen, and when they hear their sound, they can raise the card, okay? So let's listen again. Everybody has a card. We're going to listen again. I'm square, by the way.
Circles, ovals, diamonds, squares, there are many shapes out there.
Okay, so I did very well. I heard square, I lifted square. Are students going to automatically get it? No, some may not get it the first time, maybe not even the second time, but they're actively listening now for a word. Okay, so I do this once, twice, and then I ask the students to pass the card to the next student. They get a new card. Now I have circles, and I listen again.
Circles, ovals.
Okay, I did very well that time. I'm very proud of myself. Okay, so we're doing active listening with the song. Okay, so I want to start incorporating some movement because a song needs movement to actually fully engage my brain, right? So I want to give students a choice of movement. So I'm going to ask the students, how can I represent a circle? What can I do to be a circle? Maybe some students are going to go circle or circle or circle. So I'm going to pick the big one because I like big movements. I'm going to say, this is circle. So whenever we hear the word circle, we're all going to go like this. Circle. How about diamond? What's a diamond? Diamond's difficult. Ah, diamond. Okay, we're just going to do the top part of the diamond. Square. Ah, square. Square. And oval. Is this an oval? No, oval's big, right? So circles. Let's practice. Circles, ovals, diamond, square. Let's all do that again. Are you ready? Circle, oval, diamond, square. Okay, we're doing really well. So this time we're going to listen and put in some actions. Here we go. I'm very excited now because this is challenging. Circles.
Ovals, diamonds, squares. There are many.
Okay, so we got our shapes. We can practice this, adding an extra dimension of challenge to the activity. Next, I'm going to ask for I'm going to work through until I get a whole range of movements that my students can do. By the way, my students might start singing along at this point, or they might start at least going, nah, 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 nah. Good, perfect, that's great. We're not actually to the singing part, but that's okay, I don't mind. Okay, we're going to do the whole song this time. Are you ready? Circles, ovals, diamonds, squares. There are many shapes out there. Everywhere you look, you'll see. Let's go find some shapes now.
Circles, ovals, diamonds, squares.
There are many shapes out there.
Everywhere you look, you'll see.
Let's go find some shapes now. Okay, so that's it. That's my song. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's go back to the slide. Ooh, what happened? Why? So, ooh, what's happening? Oh, okay. So here we are. We learned some vocabulary words before. We learned some sentence patterns. We may have done a shape parade and walked around the room and went circle, circle, square, square. We'll do this one in a second. Mapping shapes to words. So now we're going to follow up by using shapes to make some objects. So for example, I can put this together and put this together, and what is that? I don't know. What is that? Okay, I can identify shapes of houses, cars, etc. So you can see here, triangle, square, rectangle, all of these things happening here. So I'm making this song relate to the real world, or these vocabulary relate to the real world. And I can even follow up by creating a new environment. By the way, this is an activity also from the program, which I'll show you in a second. Okay, so we can use a song to actually have a whole meaningful lesson that is playful and joyful and interesting to the students and hopefully intrinsically motivated. Okay, I'm looking through all of these. I'm looking through all of the, oh, a robot, good, I like that idea. Okay. Oh, building a robot together would be really fun, right? Building a class robot with different shapes. Okay. One activity I love to do with my students and my teachers is to make shapes with their hands. So how do I make a circle? How do I make a square? How do I make a triangle? It's a really fun activity, especially if you can get 3 people working together to create the shapes. If we were face to face, we would be doing this activity right now all together. So making shapes with Play-Doh, good. All right. One way to really get to bring all of these kinds of things together is by using STEAM activities. So I'm sure you've heard the term before. Science, technology, engineering, art, and math all together equal STEAM. Nice thing about STEAM is that it really does incorporate a lot of different ideas into one lesson, for instance. So for instance, if I'm doing the shape song, I can do some science, like you said, maybe make a robot with shapes. I can introduce technology, which I just did by using some of the digital programs. Engineering, how to arrange shapes to be something more meaningful. Art, of course, being creative with shapes, and then even math. So lots of ways to bring all of these different ideas into one meaningful activity. Okay, so I'm going to actually go back to the program now for a second. Excuse me. And show you. Uh-oh, it seems like I'm not sharing. Can you see? Oh no. I just realized I did not share the previous activity with you. Sorry about that. Let me try that again. Haha, now you can actually see the program. I didn't share the activity. Let me show you the song again since I wasn't showing it to you earlier. You're only listening. Sorry about that. Uh-oh. Ah, now you can actually see the song. I'm so sorry I didn't show that with you earlier.
Circles, ovals, diamonds, squares. There are many shapes out there. Everywhere you look, you'll see. Let's go find some shapes now. Circles, ovals, diamonds, squares. There are many shapes out there. Everywhere you look, you'll see. Let's go find some shapes now.
Sorry about that. I should have been showing you the activity before, and I realized I was not. Makes it more interesting. Maybe also get the students can be inspired to come up with the motions based on what they're seeing on the screen. So I'm looking now at the E-Academy, as you can see, and the things that I've been talking about are all here on display, right? So we have our social and emotional learning, our physical, the things about safety and hygiene. We have music and movement for our physical activities, and then STEAM. So I want to show you a STEAM activity now that I find very nice. Let me think where I put that one. Here we go. So the idea of STEAM is that we can actually apply what we're learning to do some kind of activities. So this one is more about numeracy.
Less, and same.
So first we investigate the idea. Ooh, let's learn what is more, less, and the same.
Arrange the cubes in 2 rows and
So you can see here that it actually changes depending on what's happening. By the way, the student has the ability to manipulate the screen to actually do this activity on their own, but done as a whole class activity.
Or same.
So I have 2 levels here.
Count the number of apples on both trees. Does the tree in the picture frame have more, less, or the same number of apples compared to the tree outside the picture frame? Click on the...
Okay.
Good job.
Okay.
Count. Very good.
Okay. I'm going through these very
comparison
quickly
of quantity.
because I really want to get to the activity.
Let's compare quantities.
Okay. What? Uh-oh.
Which has more?
Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Comparison of height.
Okay, I'm not going to go through all of them because I really want to get to the
Comparison of weight.
final activity. The final activity is where they're actually doing some kind of experiment or working through something. So these are all designed to be done in the classroom together as an enjoyable and hopefully intrinsically motivating activity. So here, the materials that you will need are here. Now, if you don't have a scale, fine, you don't need a scale. All of these are designed for, mostly you'll have everything in the classroom that you need. You don't have to go out and buy new things. So here we're just doing some comparisons. So we did the comparison online together. Now we're going to do some comparison in the classroom. And the student can actually do the setup themselves. So we have two boxes. One student can set up the balls. The other student can tell you, is it which one has more or less, or is it the same, right? Same here. We're stacking, is one taller or shorter? And again, the student can set up the activity after being guided, same as the teacher doing it for them. And you may even see that you do this as a guided activity, and later during free time, you see the students are actually doing the same thing themselves. And that's the nice thing about a STEAM activity. Okay, all right, very good. We're going to go back to our presentation now, because I want to talk about using digital tools in the classroom. Now, the next training I'm going to do focuses exclusively on digital tools in the classroom, so I won't spend too much time today talking about it. What are the benefits? Is that we get this, the main benefit is this immediate feedback and the motivation, because the students love to use the screen, right? The students are very happy to see the bright lights and listen to the sounds and the bells and whistles and all of that. It's also very accessible and adaptable for students. Things we need to think about. Screen time management. You do not want to use the screen all day long. Not good for the students in many, many ways, right? So I would limit it to 10 to 15 minutes a day. Also, these are meant to be active activities, right? It's not meant to just sit and stare. Not learning when you're sitting and staring. It needs to be interactive. Not just interactive, the student and the screen, but interactive, the student and their classmates and the screen, okay? So when we're doing an activity, I recommend that you're getting the whole class involved. So you can do it as a whole class activity, even if you're doing it as a one-to-one, the student is working one-on-one with the screen, still can get feedback from the other students. So think about these things when you're actually doing, using digital programs. And I'll talk more about this at the next training if you come to it. One other consideration is when you're looking at these activities that are online, all of these, I wouldn't say all of them, most of them can actually be done in real time too. So draw your inspiration, do it online, then do it in the classroom as a real activity. So for example, this is a matching activity online, or not online, but in the digital program. You can do this very easily in the classroom as well. So it doesn't matter which one you do first, the digital or this one, but it can all be carried on offline as well. I'm running out of time, but here are some common concerns about play. It's too noisy and chaotic. Every teacher has a different tolerance for noise and chaos. Yes, some games are more noisy than other games. It does not mean the students are not learning, and that's the important thing, right? So even if it's a bit noisy for you, try to tolerate it. If it's too noisy for the school, if it's disturbing another class, it's a problem. If it's not disturbing another class, it's not a problem, right? So just be aware it may be a little bit more noisy than they're used to. There's not enough time to play games. The key here is to understand that they are learning through the play. So you're not skipping curriculum to play a game, right? You're enhancing the curriculum. So when you're playing a game, you're not playing a game just to be playing, right? Play is learning. We talked about it. So we do have enough time for it. It's just a matter of adapting that game or that play activity to meet the curricular demands that you have. My class is too large. Yeah, this is a very common concern in Asia, right? The classes tend to be 30, 40 students in a class. If you have some kind of running around activity, it will be too difficult. So think about things that can be done at the desk or can be done with just two people instead of having some kind of running around. It doesn't feel like real teaching, but it is. The parents won't understand. This is a common complaint. The parents won't understand. The principal doesn't understand. We need to explain to parents what is happening. This is learning, right? I've given you some examples. I think we'll share the PPT with you. I will take out any of the pictures, but I'll share the PPT with you, and you'll be able to look back and say, oh, but you see, here's what play is. Play is building critical thinking and problem-solving skills. It's creative. It's a stress-free environment for learning. So we need to talk to parents about why we're playing instead of learning, which we're not. Okay. My advice, incorporate more play into your lessons. All right. Wrap up. Play and learning go hand in hand. Language grows when it's meaningful and social and emotional. It makes us feel good. When we are intrinsically motivated to learn the language because we have to know how to do it to play. Okay. Okay, we got to the Q&A. I'm sorry I went a little bit long today. I tend to get excited and carried away. So fire away if you have any questions. If you have questions about academics, I will answer. If you have questions about the program, my colleague Anjali will answer. Does play work on the secondary level? Yes, 100% yes. Your students at the secondary level want to play just as much as your kindergartners. Play works with adults. If we were in a training session face-to-face today, we would be playing some kind of games. Now, with secondary, the play is more rule-oriented usually, right? We're not going to say, okay, free play. Secondary students are just going to look at each other like, what's wrong with the teacher? They'll just think you're crazy, right? Because secondary students are too cool to just have a free place, period, right? But definitely 100% incorporate play into your class. Your students will thank you. Are gamified lessons play-based learning? Yes. I'm running through these questions. Please suggest some strategies for special education students. I'm very sorry, I'm not qualified to really talk about special education. It's not my field. I really appreciate that some people can do it because I'm not capable. If you have, let's say you have an ADHD in your classroom, that student needs to be helping you. I've had this situation before where I had 30 students and one of them was ADHD. It was like I had 60 students. So one suggestion I would make is if you do have some student that really needs special attention, make them the teacher's helper as opposed to trying to incorporate them into play. So get them to pass out papers and get them to collect papers and to, clean the board and find ways to keep them involved because it's very important. Now, when you are playing, these students can definitely take part and it will benefit them a lot, right? But I'm not equipped to talk about other kinds of special education students. Suggest some online platforms for the play. Interesting. I mean, the one that I'm showing you today, the Town for Kids, is not online. So that's the nice aspect of that one, because once you download it, you don't need to be online. So you don't need to worry about, is your internet connection sufficient or not? And I think that's actually nicer than being online, because if you have a problem with the internet, if you're in the middle of a game and the internet goes out, that's very problematic. Your students will go nuts, right? So I prefer things that are offline. There's lots of games on the Town for Kids. Actually, if you give me 1 second, I'll show you some more. For example, we were just doing shapes. We have a game such as this.
Matching shapes. Click and drag the same shapes into the empty boxes and match them in pairs.
Okay, so I can do that.
Try again.
So this one, again,
Very good.
something that you can play in your class that the student can interact with the program. So we have lots of games such as this that students can actually do, right?
Matching pictures with words.
If I'm not mistaken, you can get a free trial for this. I think Anjali will talk a little bit about that in a
Click the
minute.
squares to reveal the hidden
this is-
pictures and words.
This is the one I was just
Remember
showing
their
you.
positions and match the pictures with the correct words.
Okay.
Bedroom.
Kitchen. Oops, that's incorrect. Dining room. Garage.
Okay, I don't want to go through the whole thing. You can
Try
also
again.
use a hint feature so the students can actually see the answers and then it will disappear again. Okay, good. Let me see if I got some more questions. Does play work in those students with special needs? Again, I'm not so qualified, but I would think so, yes. What if a student is defiant
Okay.
and won't participate? Why doesn't the student want to participate? Because they're not intrinsically motivated, right? I mean, this is such a broad question because some students are defiant because they just don't understand. Some students are defiant because they have a terrible home life and they don't know how else to communicate. So there's a lot of things that could be going on if a student is defiant, right? Try different activities because different students have different ways or different things that attract them, right? If it is really a problem, like you've tried many things, then it might be time to talk to the school counselor or, to talk to the parents and see if something's actually happening outside of the classroom that is affecting their ability to participate. Maybe they're not eating enough. I mean, lots of things could be going on here. It's a very broad question. And I would say just try a variety of things, find something that actually works for this student. Or same as with somebody with ADHD, maybe you have another way you can get them to participate. Maybe they can facilitate the game, right? Can you help me to run this activity? Maybe that's what they need is there's lots of things that could be going on. So it's very hard to answer a question like this without the particulars of the case. It's a great question. It's just very difficult to answer. Please give more sessions on ECCE. I don't know what that is. Curriculum of ECCC. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's the one that's running okay, you can send your suggestions to ECCC. I'm very happy to come on and do that. Are we able to access your eAcademy web for free? Yes, Anjali will talk about that.
Yep. I think,
Thank you
Alan, we
very
can do
much.
the survey phase. Is it okay?
Oh yeah, sorry,
Yep.
yeah.
We can, let me just share my screen first, so
Yep.
that our attendees will be able to know what's in store for them in this workshop. Still, we'd like to ask you to stay back a little bit more, 10 to 15 minutes. So the Q&A is still ongoing. You can still type in your questions in the chat box. Meanwhile, we'll be popping out a survey. It's a survey so that we'll be able to get the feedback from you with regards to the workshop that we have attended today. And also, there will be a portion there where you will be suggesting some future workshop or trainings that you would like to have, especially the one that's related to special needs. So we'll think about that. We cannot answer that right now, but we're happy to hear that kind of, read that kind of question, and we would be have to be ready for that if we're going to conduct any trainings about that. So, Miss Agustina, maybe we can pop up the survey now. All right. So on your screen, you would see a survey there. It's an 8-question survey. So we encourage everybody to reply to the workshop feedback. And meanwhile, while you're doing that, still type your questions. We will get back to that shortly. Let me just continue our slide. So later on, we'll be flashing, maybe in the next 2, 3 minutes, we'll be flashing the attendance form, wherein this is going to be the information that we need in order for you to get your e-certificate. Now, please be informed that the attendance form will only be active in the next 2 hours after we end this workshop, because some of you might not be able to answer it right away, but it's a Google form that we're going to be attaching in the chat box. So just click and download it so that you'll be able to reply accordingly. So also, we would like to encourage everybody, if you need to get in touch with us with regards to our e-academy program, this is my contact number. And you can also see it in the post that we made on Facebook or Instagram. You can contact me. This is my email address, Angela Tan for Kids, and my mobile number here. This is also a WhatsApp and Viber number. All right, so hopefully you're doing a screen grab right now. And just to let you know, Tan for Kids Singapore, in our corporate social responsibility program, similar with what you have just attended, we are doing storytelling live on Zoom and YouTube. And also, we also still, of course, conduct other workshop. And in our pipeline, just to let you know, I'm inviting you all ahead of time. We will be having another workshop on the 4th of October. This is again Saturday. This is for the celebration of the National Teacher Day, and we're encouraging you again. We will be posting things in our Facebook and our Instagram so that you all can join again. And of course, another storytelling session which we'll be doing on the 18th of October. So all of this will be posted. Just follow and like us on our Facebook so that you get updated of our upcoming workshop and also our storytelling, which we dedicate also to your learners, to your students. And we would like to encourage everybody in the group, in the attendance form that you're going to fill up. We have attached there the WhatsApp group and Viber group. We still encourage you to join the group so that you get to be updated with our upcoming events and activities. All right. So, everybody, we've seen that some of you are already filling up the form. So maybe we can continue first with a few questions. Alan, if we have some questions here that you would like to address.
One
And then,
question I
yeah.
keep seeing is where they're going to get this, where they can get the program. So maybe you should answer that one.
Yeah. All right. So the program, it will fill up the attendance form, and then we will get in touch with you because there are two programs that you can really be interested in. One is for the e-academy kindergarten software. This is for kindergarten early childhood, and we also have the primary for elementary e-academy software. So once you filled up the form, we'll be able to identify which program that you will be interested in, and we'll communicate with you.
Great. One thing I'll point out is next, in 2 weeks, we have another training, which will focus more on digital tools. So I invite everyone to come back to that. That should be very interesting. And I'll mostly be using the primary program, though I may include some of the kindergarten there as well. And the concepts really apply broadly, right? I do try to include both kindergarten and primary when I'm talking. So I did have a very interesting question here about how can parents be more actively involved. I'm a big proponent of getting parents involved as much as possible. In fact, I encourage schools to do a parent training sessions where you actually invite parents in, especially for kindergarten. You invite the parents in and talk to them about what they can actually do to complement the learning that the students are getting in the classroom. So if you have the opportunity to interact with parents, that's really great. Encourage them to read to their kids, encourage them to ask questions about what they're learning, to pay attention to the report cards and things. As far as the Town for Kids program, there is an app that goes with it. So you can, of course, the parents can actually ask the student to sing the song or to read the story to them that they've actually learned in the classroom. Okay. I'm just looking for any more questions here. If I missed your question, I'm very sorry. You're welcome to ask again. I have one about the constructivist approach. This really, everything we've been talking about is kind of based around a constructivist approach. play is a key component of the constructivist approach, right? It's students are learning. Constructivism is basically that the learning is meaningful and it's relevant to the outside world, right? And the students are constructing their learning as much as the teachers are, right? So that really ties into everything we're talking about here. So yeah, I would say constructivist approach for K-3 learners is perfect. I'm a big fan of the constructivism movement. Okay. Active learning is the same. Yeah, active learning and play-based learning are very similar ideas. So yeah, sure. Can you modify your own game using the Town for Kids? No, that's not a thing, but you can adapt it. So like let's say it's for a one student doing one thing, but you can adapt it to where it's a classroom activity. So it's applicable, but it's not modifiable. You can't go in and modify the program. What kind of play are applicable for 1.5 to 2-year-old? Free play. 1.5 years to 2 years it's just free play, right? I mean, you can play with them, but as far as like a guided play, you can ask them to do it, but it won't last but maybe 1 or 2 minutes, and then they're gonna just do their own thing, right? So with playing with 1.5 to 2-year-old children, it's just playing with them as opposed to guiding them in how to play. Wow, you guys have lots of questions. How screening results do anything? Okay. Okay, again, if I missed your question, I'm so sorry.
We encourage now everybody to keep filling up the attendance form,
Yes, please.
which we have already sent in the chat box. And also those viewers that we have in our YouTube live, it's already there. And please be reminded that this attendance forms is only active after 2 hours. So 2 hours from your time, because you're all from different countries. So count it starting now, and then the next 2 hours we will close the form. Right. Thank you so much to those filled up. Now, what we're going to do, as stated in the form, allow us 7 business days to provide you your e-certificate. You can reply also to the email that we're going to send to you if you have any questions about this workshop. And then we will do our best to respond to your questions. Because we're not sure if we were able to read all of the questions that has been posted here.
Yeah, it's really lots of questions.
So many questions. Thank
I
you
have
so
one more
much for
interesting
that.
question. I have one more that I
Yep.
want to talk about because I think it's really
Okay,
interesting.
go
Is
ahead. Yep.
transition periods. Transitions are really difficult. It's where teachers lose control of the class a lot of times, right? Because they're transitioning from free play to guided play, or guided play to free play, or from a worksheet to a play. You know, these periods of transition are where teachers really lose control. I would just say have some very specific routines you use with your kids, right? When I used to teach kindergarten, my one thing I did, I realized I was screaming all the time, and I realized this is not intelligent. I'm losing my voice. They don't respond to my screams anymore. So I learned how to, I just hold up one finger. That finger means calm down. And the last student not to calm down is going to have, is going to face some discipline, though it was never very punitive. But you'll notice the students get really used to seeing me hold up one finger, and they start whispering like, "Oh, it's the finger, it's the finger, it's the finger. Calm down, calm down." So that just gives them a focal point without you having to gives them a focal point. Is something they're very used to, but make sure you're doing the same thing over and over again. It has to be very consistent. Some teachers will count, some teachers will, and they'll count quietly, not screaming, right? So 1, 2, if they get to 10, it's a problem, right? So have some kind of focal point or something they're listening for that reminds them that it's time to calm down and move from one activity to the next. Okay, you can also ask them to set up the room for free play or clean up the room for regular play. It just gives them something to do rather than just kind of being aimless while you're setting up the class. But nice to have something they can focus on. Okay, I think that's it for now. I think I've really gone over my time, and I'm keeping you guys from your family. So thank you so much. I hope to see you on October 4th. Until then, farewell.
Thank you so much, Alan. Thank you so much. So we're still gonna be here. We're waiting for the others to start filling up the form. We're still sharing it in our group chat. Sorry, in our Zoom chat box. All right. So the form is still there. So please make sure you're sharing an active email address so that we'll be able to receive the e-certificate. And again, we are encouraging everybody, if you can just fill up the form after 2 hours, then we'll be able to receive your information. And kindly choose the kind of program that you're interested in so that we'll be able to create the account for you and for this free trial that we're giving to each of the school and teacher that are interested. All right. So far we have, yep. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Sorry, I've lost this. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. You all have the permission to leave the Zoom now. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Our attendees from Philippines, from India, Indonesia. We have attendees from Pakistan. We have attendees from Malaysia as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope to see you in our next workshop, which is going to be on the 4th of October, and it will be facilitated again by Alan Davis. Thank you so much.